Well, what's up guys? This is Daniel from Arms Family Homestead, and as you can see, we're out in the field that I used the Harley rake that I got from GPRents to open up this food plot. We're going to be planting this food plot. I'm going to talk to you about what we're planting, kind of my strategy for deer season, for how I hunt, why I do things the way I do, and yeah. So this field, I didn't get it planted before the rain. I brought the Harley rake out with that Kubota skid steer, opened all this up, and it rained and rained and rained. I did get several other areas planted up in the timber and some other food plots, but this is only one of 2 open fields that I plant. I don't spend a lot of my time hunting big open fields because, you know, I've kind of learned over the years, deer are so much easier to hunt in their living room where they're comfortable. They're just like me and you. If you want to kill a big buck, you want to go where the big bucks are comfortable. Now, I do plant some big food plots like this. Not big, really, this is only like half an acre, because I can bring my kids out, let them sit and see a ton of deer in the evenings, and that's what I love to do. Now, Emily did kill a deer in this field last year, but if you remember that video, if you saw that video, that buck was really hanging out close to this. Actually, turn you this way. That buck was hanging out really close to this timber line. A lot of times those big bucks will stay 10 to 50 yards inside the timber and they won't actually come on out. But I've got a plan for that. I'll show you that game plan in a minute, but we need to get some seed thrown out here. So here's what I'm planting this year. I don't spend a lot of money on seed, honestly. You can go out and spend $30, $40 a bag on some of those very expensive name brand seed mixes, but this is what I'm planting. I don't know if you guys can even read that on there. Here we go. I get this at my local farm feed store. It's just a wheat and rye pasture mix. It's what a lot of farmers plant for their cattle in the fall. The goats will get access to this after deer season's over. So it's just wheat and ryegrass. That's all it is. I don't buy the super expensive blends because you're spending a lot of money on something that, in my opinion, really isn't necessary. A lot of those things have things like crimson clover or a white clover or Austrian peas, lots of different things. It's so much cheaper if you buy like a bulk 50-pound bag of wheat and rye mix, and then you can buy 5 to 10-pound bags of things like the winter peas or clovers or things, and mix your own seed blend much cheaper than what you can buy those name brands for. So let's get the seed thrown out over here. So as far as throwing out my seed, I'm not doing anything fancy. There's several different things you could buy. You could buy a spreader to go on the back of an ATV, back of a tractor. You can buy one that's like a bag. You fill up the bag, hand crank. I just go super basic. Fill a 5-gallon bucket full of seed and throw it on the ground. So this method works great for me for fall food plots like cereal grains, wheat, rye, oats, things like that. It doesn't take a perfect seed bed. I've got some places that I'm going to show you in a few minutes up in the timber that I really didn't even till. I just waited until we had that good rainfall coming, threw my seed out on the ground, and you'll be surprised at how much of it's growing and how thick it is right now. So I'm going to get the rest of this seed planted in this field, and then we'll move on to our next food plot. So there you go, I've got this little food plot seeded. I'm not gonna come back and pack it. I'm not gonna cover it up. Basically what I'm doing is I'm planting at a much higher pound per acre seed rate. I put out literally about 200 pounds of wheat and rye on, let's say, somewhere between 1/2 and 3/4 of an acre. But I can do that because that wheat and rye pasture mix literally cost me about $12 a bag. So if I was putting out something that was $30 a bag, I'd really want to go by a lot better rate of pounds per acre. So with this, I'm not going to cover it. So the birds are probably going to get some, the turkeys will get some, but it's supposed to rain really good in about 2 or 3 days, and that rain will do a great job of pushing that seed down into the soil. I've got really good open soil right now. And as I was saying earlier, you don't have to always till to get things like wheat, rye, and oats to grow. You just need good seed to soil contact. Well, this open field was full of grass. It had a lot of Bermuda grass and some Johnson grass. So if I would have just tried to overseed that, most of my seed would have never made contact with the soil. So this field, this application here, I did want to get a light till on it. I'm not worried about tilling 4, 5, 6 inches deep. I didn't bring a disc in here and disc it up, or a set of rippers and rip the soil open. I'm just tilling the first maybe 2 to 3 inches of the top of the soil, and that Harley rake worked out perfectly. I got a fly on my face. It's so disgusting. Flies are bad in Oklahoma right now. So a big food plot like this, I feel, is necessary, and I do hunt here. This is only about a 2-acre field. I planted about 1/2 to 3/4 of an acre. But I call this a destination. This is like dinner time. This is where the deer are working towards late in the evening. They come out here and they feed at night. So you're gonna catch deer here, you know, early in the morning or late in the evening. So what I do, I said I like to spend a lot of time in the timber. I like to focus my time where the deer feel the most comfortable. Those big bucks aren't comfortable out in an open field like that most of the time, except during the rut. Those bucks, the big bucks, mature deer, are not gonna be out there. I like to hunt them in their living room. They're just like me and you. If you wanna kill a big deer, you've got to go where he's the most comfortable. I'm the most comfortable sitting in my living room, nibbling on some popcorn, just chilling. So what I did, and I've done this for years, but what I did recently is that when I had the Kubota skid steer with the big brush cutter, you remember that thing? It was amazing. I came in and cut a lot of trails like this. So as you can see behind me, this trail just kind of meanders up through the timber. And I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna plant this with that wheat, and it's not gonna be a spot where the deer are just gonna stand and eat all the time, but I want them to use this as their travel corridor. Deer are like us, they're lazy. If there's a tree that's falling down, the deer will go around it. So what I'll do is I'll entice them to come down this trail, and we'll set up our ground blind either for the kids, for Emily, right on the edge of the timber, where we'll probably hunt with her, or for me personally, I spend a lot of time, like I said, up in the timber. I'll set up a spot on a travel corridor and try to catch those big bucks as they're passing through, scent checking for does. So I'm gonna throw some seed out on this trail. So creating these little trails and paths like this on my property serves me in multiple ways. First off, it gives me a place to get the wildlife to walk, creating those trails for the deer and the pigs and turkeys and things, and then we can set up on them, know where to hunt. Second, you guys know I do a lot of controlled burning on my property, and much of it's solid timber. So having these roads and then coming in here and planting wheat and rye and things like that makes a nice green path. In the wintertime, I'll be able to come in here and burn sections of my property, burn sections of the timber, kind of rotate it through, like say somebody like Justin Rhodes, how he does a lot of rotational grazing. I can do rotational burning on my property and burn 5 or 10 acre tracts and rotate years, so everything kind of gets on a schedule, and then I'm not burning the whole place off at once and just creating a desert with no food for the wildlife. So it does a lot. It helps me in a lot of ways. Plus, it just makes recreational trails for us when it's not deer season. We can get out and walk these trails or ride the ATVs, things like that. So I really think that Kubota skid steer with the brush cutter on the front was the perfect tool for creating these trails. There's another channel that I watch. The guy's name's Mike. The channel's called Outdoors with the Morgans. I love his channel. The guy does some awesome tractor videos. He's got a sponsorship with Rural King. He's got all kinds of RK tractors and every implement you could imagine. And I've been watching Mike lately make trails just like this on his property. And Mike's used things like an excavator, a tractor with a backhoe, The other day he was using a small tractor with a grapple bucket on the front, and those things work great. But I used one piece of machinery with one attachment and really just kind of blazed a trail through the trees. You know, you have to kind of wind and snake around some of the trees, but that's what a trail is, right? I'm not trying to make a perfectly straight fence row. So that Great Plains Kubota skid steer and brush cutter was probably one of the most awesome tools I've ever used on my property. It was amazing. So anyways, let's go check on a food plot that I've already got planted that's growing. I got a couple bags of fertilizer at the store the other day. Let me go grab those, and we'll go check on that food plot and show you what it looks like here in the timber when you get these food plots growing. So you can see this is a little oak thicket. It's all oak trees right here on the edge of probably, well, for sure the biggest field on my property. Now, there's a lot of good acorns fall out of these trees right here. But as you can see, I came in and just broadcast some seed out by hand before that big rain we had a few weeks ago, or yeah, a couple weeks ago now. And that wheat and ryegrass is already, as you can see, several inches tall. Let me show you. Pull a little up here. This is how much it's grown already. Check it out, about 4 inches tall. But I'm actually not going to be hunting right here. I've got another trail cut back into the woods. You can see where my four-wheeler is back there. I'll take you back there and let me show you my little hidden jewel in the timber. This food plot's doing amazing, and we're going to fertilize it a little bit in just a second. So you see how nice and thick and green it is in here? This used to just be solid timber that you could just almost not walk through. Just like right here, the brush was so thick, it's hard to hunt. Well, come in here with that big Kubota skid steer and the brush cutter on the front of it and opened up a gorgeous little place back here. And I've got several of my trails that lead into it. One from that direction comes in from my pond. The one over here, this little opening here leads down into one of the trails that you just saw me throw seed out on a few minutes ago. And as I said earlier, we're probably 50 yards inside the timber from the big open field. You can see my four-wheeler right there, just barely inside the timber here. And I've got a nice 2-person ladder stand. So let's go up, sit in this thing, and I'll show you the view and what it looks like. So as you can see, this is a 2-person ladder stand with a shooting rail around it. Perfect place for me to sit with Emily, bring her up here, and let her get a crack at a deer while they're up here in the timber if we choose. But check out the view. So as I said, we're surrounded by solid timber, nice big hardwood timber all the way around us. Got a nice green food plot and a chocolate lab on the ground. So something like this is the perfect place to ambush those mature bucks that don't like to go out into those big fields. Like I said, I could plant that big, huge field behind me. I could plant it in wheat and all that stuff. I could have 10 acres of food plot back there. We'd probably be covered up in does in the evenings, but those big mature bucks that we're looking for just aren't gonna be there. I know some people are meat hunters. I, from time to time, am a meat hunter, but I'm also a little bit of a trophy hunter. I'm not afraid to admit that. My daughter loves to shoot a big deer. I love to see big deer, it's exciting. So places like this, hidden back in the timber, are perfect to ambush those mature bucks. So as I said, basically the last step in this basic throw and grow food plot process with this wheat variety and wheat and rye and just cheap pasture mix is to fertilize it. And I'm using just basically straight nitrogen. This is 3300 urea, because I want to hit this crop that's 3 to 4 inches tall with as much nitrogen as I can right now, so we can get as much growth out of it. We want green foliage growth, so we're pouring the nitrogen to it. We want the stuff to grow basically as much as we can get it to grow before frost. It'll still continue to live through the winter. Wheat will grow in our area all through the winter, and then in the spring it'll really shoot up. But we're looking for food crop for the deer, so we want as much growth as quickly as possible. So let's pour the nitrogen to it. Well folks, that's all I've got for today. I hope you enjoyed it. That's just my little theory on how I plant my food plots and get things growing for deer season. And like I said, these are kind of dual purpose, because after deer season's over, I'll turn the goats out and they'll have free access to all this nice green wheat and rye and all that stuff. But anyways, if you're interested in tractor videos and things, like I said, go check out Mike from Outdoors with the Morgans. I'll leave a card to his channel and a link in the description box down below. Outdoors with the Morgans. If you're into tractor videos, you'll love his channel. And if you like the tractor videos on my channel, please do me a favor, go check out Great Plains Kubota, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I'll leave links to all that stuff. They've been awesome to work with our channel. We've got a lot of work done, got a lot of things accomplished around here in a short amount of time. Having the right equipment really makes those jobs easier. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Y'all have a great day, and as always, Bella and I will see you on the next video.